The funny thing about pain, real pain, is that it doesn't scream. It whispers. It hums beneath your skin like a secret you've been forced to keep. I was 27 when the water burned. But the truth, I think I stopped feeling safe in my own skin a long time before that. That night, I came home after a 12-hour shift at a gas station just off Highway 91. Rain had soaked through my only jacket and my second-hand boots. Those ugly beige ones my mom gave me last Christmas were peeling at the seams. The house was quiet, not peaceful. Just quiet in that thick, suffocating way that only a house filled with unspoken things can be. I didn't say hi. No one would answer anyway. Celeste was probably asleep in the master bedroom. Yes, my old bedroom, the one with the real window and working heat. Mom would be on the couch, chain-watching her preacher shows, wine glass within reach. And Dad somewhere behind his silence. That was always his favorite room. I headed straight to the bathroom. For once, the water heater had been fixed, probably because Celeste's boyfriend complained about the cold last week. For once, I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd allow myself a small kindness. A warm bath, just a few minutes to thaw. I turned on the faucet. Steam rose, the tub filled, and I stepped in. The second my skin hit the water, I knew it wasn't warmth, it was punishment. I screamed. The kind of sound that rips from your throat before your brain can stop it. It felt like the water had claws, acidic, hungry claws that tore at every layer of skin. I scrambled out, my knees hitting tile, the towel slipping from my shoulder. My calves blistered. My palms peeled. And then I saw them. Floating in the tub, 3 things. White, soaked, twisted. I leaned in. Socks, not just socks. Celeste's socks, the designer ones with the gold C logo she never let anyone touch. But these were different. Stained, molded. Coated in something rancid. Bleach, maybe, or worse. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to puke. I wanted to punch a wall. Instead, I wrapped myself in a burnt towel and walked to the kitchen. They were all there. Mom eating cherries from a crystal bowl. Dad reading his same crumpled newspaper. Celeste scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. No one looked up. "Mom," I whispered, my voice cracked. "There's something in the bath." She didn't blink. Just popped another cherry in her mouth and said, "Maybe now you'll finally smell like someone worth something." Celeste snorted. "Those socks cost more than your entire paycheck, babe. Consider it a gift." Dad didn't say a word. Just turned the page. I stood there, wet, humiliated, burned. And all I could think was, they're not even pretending to care anymore. That night, I laid in bed with ice packs taped to my skin. I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. But something inside me cracked. No, not cracked, shifted, because if they were done pretending, then so was I. The first letter came folded in half. Plain envelope. No return address. Just urgent. IRS review request printed in red. At first, I thought it was a scam, junk mail, but the address was correct. My name, my number, my birthday. The only thing wrong was the income. According to the document, I'd earned $92,700 last fiscal year, working full-time at a private surgical clinic in Reno. I stared at it for 10 minutes. Then I laughed. I hadn't even been to Reno. I was making $13, $75 an hour at a gas station that kept delaying raises because you don't smile enough. So I called. The voice on the other end of the IRS line was polite, too polite. "Can you confirm your employment at Sageview Surgical Center, Ms. Noelle Arden?" "I've never worked there," I said. She paused. "Ma'am, are you certain? We have a 1099 form signed under your name. And a Nevada state practitioner, ID listed under Noelle Arden." I hung up and sat in the silence. Then I walked to the hall mirror, looked at myself, and whispered, "Celeste, what did you do?" It didn't take long. Celeste never learned how to hide a lie. She only knew how to decorate it. Her laptop was unlocked because she thought I was too stupid to check. Her emails were open because she thought no one saw her. And there it was. emails to Sageview Surgical under my name, photos of my driver's license, documents with my social security number, and worse, fake certifications. I read the email header again. Hi, Doctor. Pennington. As discussed, please find attached my updated credentials. Thank you for allowing me to serve as an operating room coordinator. Operating room coordinator. She wasn't even licensed to hand someone a cotton swab. And she was coordinating surgeries, using my name, my record, my identity. I nearly collapsed. Not from the betrayal. That part was expected, but from the scale of it. This wasn't petty theft. This was a felony. That night, I waited until the house was asleep. Then I tiptoed into Celeste's room. She was passed out, mouth open, mascara smudged, like a dollar store Marilyn Monroe. On her desk, I found a printed badge. Noelle Arden SR, surgical tech. Laminate still shiny. I took a photo, then another, every email, every document, even the bottle of anti-anxiety meds she was prescribed. From a doctor who thought she was me. She wasn't just stealing money. She was injecting patients, approving meds, accessing records. All under my name. The next morning, I made a Google Doc called, "They think I'm quiet." I filled it with evidence. Photos, screenshots, dates. Audio, even a voicemail Celeste left her friend while drunk. They'd never check her. Noelle's like invisible. She works at a gas station. Nobody asks her for ID. She's basically a cloak, a walking disguise. She laughed. So I clicked record. Saved it, labeled it, laughing behind my face. MP3. And when I was done, I smiled. Because the thing about people like Celeste is, they never expect the doormat to move. But I wasn't a doormat. I was a trigger she forgot she left loaded. I stopped asking why. Why me? Why would they? Why did no one protect me? Those questions never saved anyone. They're the lullabies of the powerless. I replaced them with, what next? Celeste was arrogant, but she wasn't dumb. If she felt even a shift in my tone, a twitch in my expression, she'd panic. She'd erase, deny, run, so I smiled. I laughed when she made fun of my hair. I nodded when Dad barked that I walked like a burden. I even offered to pick up her dry cleaning. And when she handed me her luxury heels and said, "Clean the bottoms, they touched Vegas," I said, "Of course." She didn't notice my hands weren't shaking anymore. At night, I studied. I read the Nevada State Board of Medical Licensing site line by line. I memorized federal whistleblower protections. I printed screenshots, time-stamped texts, digital trails. I cross-referenced her fake license against real ones. It wasn't even close, but I didn't stop there, because I knew Celeste wouldn't fall alone. She would take her protectors with her, so I built File 2, the family file. It started with the bathroom photo, my blistered calves next to the socks. Then a copy of my medical receipt from a walk-in clinic in Elko. They'd treated me for second-degree burns. Cash only, no trace. I added photos of the towel with chemical burns, a voice memo of my mother saying, "You're lucky she even lets you use the water heater." Every little humiliation I'd lived through now became evidence. Pain had a paper trail now, one they couldn't erase. I bought a flash drive. 2, actually. One for Celeste's impersonation and medical fraud. One for the domestic abuse and financial exploitation. I labeled them in Sharpie. Face theft. Soul theft. Then I opened 3 new browser tabs. Nevada State Medical Reporting Hotline. HHS Office of Inspector General. Whistleblower Portal. Tip submission page for Kira Malone, an investigative reporter who'd just taken down a fraudulent rehab network in Utah. I didn't click send yet, because there was one more thing I needed, their complete trust. So for 2 more weeks, I played the part. I scrubbed floors. I packed Celeste's overnight bag when she went to her boyfriend's lake house. I smiled through family dinners where no one asked me a single question. And while they laughed, I was backing up every file into encrypted cloud storage. One drive under my name, another under a code name. One night, Mom looked up from her glass of Pinot and said, "You've been quiet lately." I smiled. "I've been thinking about how to be more useful." Dad grunted. "Took you long enough." Celeste added, "See, told you." She just needed to be reminded of her place. I cleared the table and whispered inside my mind, "You're right. I finally remember exactly where I stand. Behind you, holding the match. The night before I sent them, I didn't sleep. Not because I was scared, but because I was ready. There's a strange peace that comes the moment you realize. You don't want revenge. You want accuracy." I laid everything out on the floor of the garage. The only room in the house they didn't monitor, because none of them could be bothered to lift a broom. 2 manila envelopes, 2 flash drives, 2 sets of documents printed on off-white paper to avoid drawing attention. The first envelope was labeled, "Office of the Inspector General, Federal Health Division." Inside, screenshots of Celeste's fake medical certifications, her ID badge with my name, a side-by-side photo comparison, my actual pharmacy tech license application, denied due to duplicate, and hers approved. A timestamped audio file titled, "She's invisible, that's why I use her." The second envelope was addressed to Kira Malone, investigative journalist, Channel 5 Rena. Inside, a narrative, clean, timeline format, photos of my burns, quotes from my mother. Evidence that local clinics never checked real credentials. The story behind the face, not just mine, but every person Celeste may have endangered under my name. I walked 2 miles to the post office, didn't want their car, didn't want a trail, slid both envelopes into separate boxes, walked home under desert wind. The next morning at breakfast, Celeste talked about a new bonus her clinic was giving her. Mom clinked her spoon to her coffee cup and said, "That's our girl, making something of herself." Dad nodded once as if that meant something. No one looked at me, and I didn't need them to. Because somewhere in a federal building, my name was sitting on a desk. And this time, it wasn't being used by a fraud in lip gloss and fake nails. That week I bought a burner phone, not to hide, but to prepare. Because when this thing detonated, I needed to be unreachable. 3 days later, I got an email from a blocked address. Subject, tip received. Preliminary review initiated. Thank you for your courage. Health Crimes Division, U.S. Department of Justice. I read it once, then again, and then deleted it because I didn't need proof. I already knew the fire had been lit. It came at 10:42 a.m. a Tuesday. Celeste was in her silk robe, sipping coffee like she invented mornings. Mom was frying eggs she wouldn't eat. Dad was half listening to the news, half scowling at the eggs. I was folding laundry. Not mine, hers, of course. That's when the knock came. 3 taps. Firm, measured, not the kind of knock that asks. The kind that declares. Celeste rolled her eyes. "If that's another package, tell them I'm not signing unless it's Dior." She opened the door barefoot, robe flowing, grin automatic. But the second she saw the badges, her face melted. "Miss Celeste Arden." "Why, yeah. We're with the Nevada State Board of Medical Licensing and the Office of the Inspector General." I think you have the wrong." "We don't." I was still folding her blouse when I heard the word. "Impersonation." Then, controlled substances. "Federal offense. We have documents, recordings, and signed testimony." She tried to slam the door, but one of them blocked it with his foot. Calmly, without anger. "Ma'am, we're not here to arrest you. Not yet. But you are coming with us for formal questioning. We recommend legal counsel." Celeste called for Mom. That's when the real show began. Mom stormed to the door like her heels could stop the government. Dad followed, arms crossed like that ever worked. "This is absurd," Mom shouted. "She's our daughter, she's a healer. She's worked so hard. You can't just accuse her like this," Dad growled. "Maybe it was that other girl, that thing who lives here." "You mean Noelle? The agent asked, already flipping to a second file. Funny. Because that's who she claimed to be. That's when they turned, all three of them. Their heads snapped toward me. I was still folding the laundry. White blouse, gray trousers, no expression. You, Mom hissed. What the hell did you do? You ungrateful little freak, Dad added, stepping forward. But before they could reach me, a second knock, this one softer, almost gentle. A woman in a gray suit stood at the door. Ms. Noelle Arden. Yes, I answered. I'm with Nevada Child and Family Protective Services. We received a secondary report regarding long-term psychological and physical harm. Would you be willing to speak with me, privately? I nodded. And for the first time, they couldn't stop me. Mom shrieked, Dad cursed, Celeste sobbed, but I walked out with the investigator, calm. Composed, burnt skin and all, the woman said, You're very brave, Noelle. I didn't answer because it wasn't bravery. It was calculation. It was justice, quiet, cold, and well-documented. And this was just the beginning. Celeste's name was stripped from the state registry within 48 hours. Her credentials were flagged across 3 states. Her access to all hospital systems revoked. Permanently, the official notice read, License invalidated due to identity fraud, falsified credentials, and unlawful handling of controlled substances. Individual is permanently barred from employment in any medical capacity, including administrative roles. But that was just the legal part. The real fallout came after the story broke. Kira Malone's report hit Channel 5 the following Sunday. Prime time, opening segment. She looked like a healer. She was celebrated as a rising star in Nevada's private surgical sector. But Celeste Arden was not who she claimed to be. The story ran 12 minutes. Photos of her badge, the bathroom burns, the voicemail, the bathtub. Then came the real punch. But this wasn't just a story about fraud. It was about a sister, the real Noelle Arden, the woman buried beneath the lie. They showed my face, the real one, no filters, no edits. Just the eyes of someone who never screamed. And didn't need to. After that, everything imploded. Celeste tried to do damage control on social media, crying on live streams, blaming mental health, calling it a misunderstanding. But no one cared. Sponsors dropped her. The clinic filed for internal audit. A class action suit started forming from patients who were unknowingly treated by an unlicensed fraud. And my parents, oh, they were done. They debuilt their reputation on family values and integrity. Church board, gone. HOA position, gone. Friends, gone. People didn't yell, they just stopped inviting them. Stopped waving, stopped returning calls. Stopped pretending they didn't know. 1 week later, a flyer showed up on the windshield of our car. The face of deceit, a family who let her pretend. A photo of Celeste in cuffs, another of my bruised arms, printed bold at the bottom. This wasn't a mistake. It was a system they built. I didn't make the flyer, but I kept 1 copy, folded it in 4, tucked it in my wallet like a scar that healed ugly but healed. Mom stopped cooking. Dad stopped talking. Celeste started drinking more than she already had. One night I passed her room. She was curled in bed, whispering to someone on speakerphone. She was supposed to be nothing, just the weird, quiet one, just the spare. But she burned us all. She was wrong. I didn't burn them. They lit the match. I just let the smoke reach the neighbors. I left on a Tuesday. No note. No goodbye. Just my backpack, my credentials, and a one-way bus ticket to Santa Fe. No one followed. No one asked. Which, honestly, was the clearest closure they could have given me. In Santa Fe, the air smelled different. Less like gasoline and scorched pride, more like dust and beginning. I found a small pharmacy near the plaza. Family-owned. They needed a part-time tech, nothing glamorous, but the application, I filled it out with my real name. Noelle Arden, no aliases, no stolen signatures, just me. They didn't ask about my past. They only asked if I was certified. I handed them my new license. The one I earned, studied for, paid for out of babysitting shifts and night cashier runs and the refund I got from the state when they finally cleared the fraud alert on my social. They smiled. You're exactly what we need. The first time I stood behind that pharmacy counter, I almost cried. Not because it was a dream job, but because no one knew my scars here. No one looked at me and saw less. They just saw someone who showed up, who worked clean, who spoke gently. Some days, patients told me things that reminded me too much of where I came from. A young woman with burned scars asking about healing cream. An older man who flinched when I raised my voice slightly. And each time I reminded myself, you're not there anymore. You're here, and this name belongs to you. One afternoon, I got a letter. No return address. Just shaky handwriting I recognized instantly. My mother S. Inside was a card, no glitter, no apology, just one sentence. We lost everything. You won, please call. I folded it once, twice, 3 times. Then fed it into the shredder, piece by piece. Because they were wrong. I didn't win, I walked away. That wasn't revenge. That was reclamation. They tried to drown me in boiling water and call it love. Tried to make me invisible by wearing my face. Tried to convince the world that I was nothing but background. But I don't live in their world anymore. I live in mine. And in this world. I don't need them to see me. Because I finally see myself.